The 13th Angel Tour, Part 1, One Night at Sanctum Soho, London.
I mean, if you want to do it, go for it. Yeah,
You good?
I'm good.
They help us remember who we are. Character. Woodrow Wilson was once heard to say, "If you lose your wealth, you have lost nothing. If you lose your health, you have lost something. But if you lose your character, you have lost everything." There was a sledgehammer in my life in which I completely lost my character. So as I take you on this journey, as I take you down this road, I would ask that you reserve judgment with some of the things you're going to hear. Some of these things you're not going to like, you're going to disagree with. But just listen. Allow me to take you there. Because when I can take you there, I can also bring you back out. I hate breakfast sandwiches, Mom. Oh, God, teenagers, jeez. So, of course, in the all-American Gen X girl that I am, there's starving children in the world. You eat your breakfast. He didn't want to eat his breakfast. And as a matter of fact, he started arguing with me in a way that he never had before. In comes Dad, right in his face. Dad's only 5'11", so when Jason stands up at 6'1", he's right in his face too. But that's something that never had happened with Jason before. He stood up so hard that the chair fell, and the hair on the back of my neck stood up. He was off. There was something wrong. His dad looked at him and he said, "You're not going to school today. I need you to sit down." He looked at me and he said, "Take his brother to school. I'm going to deal with him when I get back." Sounds good to me, teenager. I don't know what's going on with him, but whatever. This is how they are, right? This is what they tell us. This is a teenager. They've got their own minds going on. I hear his phone ring. He answers the phone. Most likely his dad. And then my phone rings, the landline, because, we had them still back then. And it's Dad. And he says, "Hey, where's Jason?" I'm like, "He's upstairs. You sent him upstairs." As a matter of fact, I just heard him throw his baseball. Because again, athletes, that's what they do. Throw the ball against the wall. He said, "Well, I'm trying to call him. He's not answering the phone. Can you go find him?" Sure. So I start walking up the stairs and I feel my 14-year-old following behind me. I go into Jason's room. He's not there. Well, that's weird. Jason. Go into the twins' room. He's not there. Still have Dad on the phone, and I'm starting to panic now. So I go into our room, the master bedroom, and as you enter into the master bedroom, it's shaped in such a way that you kind of have to curve into the bathroom. And as I curve into the bathroom, I smell gunpowder. Oh my God. I smell gunpowder. And his dad says, "Get in the closet. That's where the guns are." I walk into the closet. All the guns are there. All accounted for. Ammunition's there. The smell of gunpowder is even stronger. And as I come out of the closet, still having Dad on the phone, my older boy behind me, and walking out of the bathroom, there is the master bed. Windows on the other side. And as I'm walking towards the master bed, I hear my son behind me say, "Mom." He's there, Mom. I look at him and see where his eyes are, and they're aiming down to the floor, and on the opposite side of the bed I see his feet. And I know what I'm going to see isn't going to be good, so I look at my older boy and I say, get the twins, take them to the room, and stay there. I see my son laying on his left side, a hole in his head, gun on the floor, and I start screaming. He's dead, he's dead, he's dead. And then I see his mouth, taking a breath. Immediately, Dad says, hang up the phone, dial 911, and I did just that. And as I'm doing that, I go and grab a towel because I know I can't work on him. Looking at that hole in his head and his eyes. I put the phone on speaker, I set it down next to him, and I'm saying, please, 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 my son is dead. Help me, help me. How many compressions? Because I couldn't remember. 1, 2, 3, please. Where are they? Where's the ambulance? I get to 30 compressions and I blow that air into his mouth as we're instructed. And it goes in. I have a chance. He's still alive. 1, 2, 3. And I look out the window and I see the ambulance finding it right. It seemed like an eternity. All the while 911 on speaker and I'm screaming, help me. Where are they? Help me save my son. And I see them walking in. Run! Why are they walking? And I push another breath into his body, but this time it just gurgled out. I felt his soul leave his body, dying before I could even begin to think about those final words I said to my son. Everything slowed down at that point, and I could feel the men pull me off my son, and as I looked up, I could see his dad come around the corner covering his mouth because he knew. Being a firefighter, he knew. I ran from that room into Jason's room, into his bed, gathering his comforter around me. I then ran to the twins' room where I remembered I had 3 more boys. Oh my God, I no longer have 4 boys. My oldest boy, the one who struggled with mental illness, the one that you would think would have these thoughts, right? Thoughts of suicide. It's a strong word, isn't it? Listening to it now. Suicide. He grabbed my hand, sticking to the comforter because Jason's blood was drying on it. And he said, Mom, don't do anything stupid, Mom, because he could see. He could see I was completely and entirely overcome. And I began to vomit. Something in me, though, something in me still recognized I had choices to make for my son. My son who seemingly isn't here anymore. I couldn't just allow myself to end up in a puddle on the floor because I had decisions to make for my son. So I put my coat on when I went to the hospital. I held him for the last time, held his hands, and made more choices because in America they ask you, do you want to donate your son's organs? Well, that sounds very harsh, doesn't it? Well, I had to answer these questions. I'm his mother. Choices. It's all about choices, right? In these moments, we get one shot. Yes, take that. We went down the list. Take that, take that, take See, in these choices that I made in those moments for my son ended up having a ripple effect. Again, our choices have a ripple effect. His blood, his tissues, all of those parts of him ended up saving 50 burned and injured victims. He gave sight to 2 people, and his heart valve saved a life. Sometimes a family will send you a letter, and we did get one. Jason always wanted to play football, and there happened to be a high school senior who was on a scholarship for football and track, but he tore his ACL, which is a knee injury. That young, you tear an ACL, well, you can say goodbye to your career, and you can say goodbye to a scholarship because it's not going to be the same. But they wrote me a letter to say his knee is now a bionic knee because he got my Jason's ACL. And he went on for a scholarship. He got to play football. He got to run. He got to be in high school. And again, these are the things that I want to draw attention to. These little things that we don't think can happen to us, these little decisions we don't think we have to make, we do. And no matter what we're going through, we have to find something somewhere to make those decisions. The next decision, as his mother, I needed to make was making sure I sent him off beautifully. And I did. Because he was my light. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And that was my Jason, but that was also what crushed me. Because the magic was gone. How do I do this? How did this happen? He was happy. He had everything going for him. He just had an argument over breakfast. What? How does this happen? And some of the things that we started to discover when it came to suicide was the stigma. And yes, we had hundreds of people that showed up to say goodbye to my son. But after that, they didn't come around anymore. The parents didn't allow their children to come hang out with his brother who had all the same friends. They were in the same grade. Because what is wrong with that family? What really happened that day? I didn't believe in sign. I didn't believe that there was something more to life. I believed everything that they told you. Heaven or hell, right? And there was many people that came up to me and said, "I hope your son embraced Jesus, because he's going to burn in hell. He took his life." What? You're trying to tell me that God, who loves us as we love our children, is going to have my son's soul suffer? A boy who never even got to kiss a girl? Let's use the example of, say, a 3-year-old child that you've told, "Stay off the monkey bars. You're going to fall. You're going to hurt yourself. Stay off the monkey bars." But that little boy, he climbs up and he falls and he breaks his leg. Are you going to walk over and be like, "Told you not to. You can sit there and suffer"? Really? That's not my God. So why was this being taught? How did this come about? Where did the stigma of suicide come from, and why are we not talking about it? Silence is its best friend. Come to find out, it is a way of control. It is a way to make people feel like they're mentally ill, put them on pills. Because, if you even have that thought, you're crazy. There's something wrong with you. You need to seek mental health. The Tootsie Roll that you saw in the last frame, and the 13, these are the signs, because Jason loved Tootsie Rolls. And at his funeral, we had Tootsie Rolls on every bowl. And for the first time in a long time, because my sister also had passed away many, many years ago, I went over to her ex's house and visited the kids because they came to the funeral. And when I went to get a glass of water, putting it into the ice machine, the ice falls out. The Tetsuo fell out. Signs. Jason. He was 13 when he passed away. May 8th, 5 plus 8 is 13. That became my sign, and you can see it on the shirt there. But you can also see that I am suffering there. I was drinking. Yeah, I was being a mom. But that magic was gone. How do I get that magic back? I decided I needed to tell my story, and I had friends that understood. I did have support. And I got into the newspapers, and I got on television because I wanted people to know what is happening here. How does this happen to a boy and nobody talks about it? Like, you didn't hear about it. Like, shh, shh, shh. I'm sure some of you have had experience with either a friend or a family member or thought about it or it's happened to, and you just don't talk about it because it's evil. There's mental illness behind it, right? I decided to start something that people would remember him, because that's the worst thought as a mother. Forgetting my child. Others forgetting my child. His birthday following his passing was on a Mother's Day. And I gathered my friends and we decided to start Jason's Propulsion League for Jason Paul Leger. We gathered funds and gently used equipment to help inner city kids play baseball. That gave me something. It gave me something other than the glass of wine in my hand and the day-to-day just being there enough for those other boys, for my then husband. But it wasn't enough, because I was still a sad, broken mother. And who's really going to listen to that? Temporarily, they'll listen to that story. But it wasn't enough. I had to do something. 2 years later, January 2013, sitting there in our shitty rental, glass of wine in my hand, as usual. There was a voice in my head. Mom. Enough, Mom. Enough of the pity party. Because that's what it is. You can only be a victim once. After that, you are a volunteer. I had heard about a program, a grant, that could get you an extenuating circumstance loan and also grant you enough for your down payment. But see, we had that short sale just 2 years before. And then after Jason, we had a bankruptcy. There was no way we were going to be able to qualify for a loan, but I had a shot. I had to try. So I called that mortgage officer that I heard on the radio, told her my circumstances. We worked for 2 months, 1,000 emails. March, 2 years after that faithful day, faithless day, I got the call. We qualified for that loan. All I had to do was find a real estate agent to help me. I had friends. I could do that. But no. When I would call them, they said, listen, that had never been done in the state of Arizona. We don't want to take you out and show you houses, and then a week before you close, it gets denied. Because that did happen to a lot of people. No one had been able to get an extenuating circumstance loan to close, let alone find a seller that was willing to work with that type of risk. So again, March 2013, 2 years after he took his life, I took our tax return money and a change jar, and I put myself through real estate school in 18 days. And by March 31st, I was a licensed real estate agent, just for the purpose of getting my family a home, because it was one thing I could do. Get us out of that shitty rental. Because you see, when I was sitting in that chair, in that couch, with that glass of wine, and my son saying, "Enough, Mom, enough," I'd raised my head up and looked over at my 5-year-old twins, and they were playing. They were doing well. My then 16-year-old, the oldest boy, Brian, he was struggling, but he was doing better than me. But it was when I looked at my then husband, pale, gray, trying to carry the whole family, and he was looking at me like I was going to break. I couldn't let this take me. I couldn't let this take me. 60 days after I received my real estate license, we closed on a home. And when I saw my little twins running around in the sunlight, it needed work, don't get me wrong, but there was windows, there was brightness. My oldest boy picking out his room and giving those keys to their dad, giving him back a foundation. He had joy again. I had joy again. There was a bubble of joy there, and I knew that this is something I could do. But I was just a girl with a GED who had had multiple jobs. Anything from whitewater rafting to waitressing to corporate formation and even private investigating. Don't ask me about that one. That's a story for another day. But real estate, I didn't know anything about it other than how to negotiate. So I borrowed clothes from friends, robbed their closets of anything that they didn't want, and started going to all the real estate meetings and introducing myself. "Hi, my name's Kimberly. They call me Tenacious T." And they're looking at me like, what did she just say? Because when I sat there at my computer and said, "I can do this," I said, "What do I have to offer? What do I have to offer?" And I knew what I had. My tenacity.
And we put ourselves back together, not in the same way, in a better way. And we fill in those cracks with the golden glow of stories so that others can overcome. Everyone has a story. Everyone has a defining moment. Let me let you in on the secret that led them to their goal. Their strength lies solely in their tenacity. Welcome to Tenacious Thoughts. I am your host, Kimberly Tenacious T. Toko.